Welcome to another quiet night with us. Tonight we drift high into the treetops, into a world of swaying branches and endless green canopy, to explore a question many people have wondered while watching monkeys move through the trees: how do they swing from branch to branch so effortlessly, without ever seeming to slip, hesitate, or fall? Over the next little while, we'll wander slowly through the anatomy that makes this possible, the incredible grip strength hidden in a monkey's hands, the role of their long arms and flexible shoulders, and the split-second judgment they use to measure distance before every single leap. We'll explore different species known for this skill, the physics quietly at work behind every swing, and the years of practice a young monkey needs before mastering this remarkable ability. There's no rush tonight, no urgency, only a slow, steady unfolding of one calm idea after another. Picture it now, a dense, quiet forest canopy at dusk, sunlight fading gently through countless overlapping leaves, and somewhere above, a lone monkey moving smoothly from branch to branch, calm and certain, as though gravity itself simply agreed to wait a moment longer each time it reached for the next hold. So settle in, get comfortable, and allow this gentle exploration of the treetops to carry you slowly toward sleep tonight, one calm branch at a time. This is where our story begins tonight, high above the forest floor, patient and unhurried. There is nothing to hold on to tightly tonight, only these soft words drifting slowly, like leaves stirred gently by a distant, warm breeze. Whatever brought you here tonight, curiosity, sleeplessness, or simple love of nature, we're glad to have you along for this slow, gentle climb into the trees. The skill we're exploring tonight has an actual name among scientists: brachiation, a specific style of movement where an animal swings its body forward using only its arms, transferring its full weight from one handhold to the next in a smooth, continuous arc. Very few animals in the world are built for this kind of movement, and among them, gibbons stand out as the true masters, capable of swinging through the canopy at speeds reaching over 30 miles an hour, faster than most animals can run along the ground below them. Their arms are unusually long compared to their bodies, often longer than their legs, giving them an extended reach that allows them to cover surprising distances with each single swing. Spider monkeys share a similar ability, aided by a long, strong, prehensile tail that acts almost like a fifth limb, wrapping securely around branches for extra stability during especially difficult movements. Tonight we'll look closely at exactly what allows these different species to move this way so confidently, high above the forest floor. Tonight we'll look closely at exactly what allows these different species to move this way so confidently, high above the forest floor, and why this particular skill remains so rare among animals overall. It's a remarkable adaptation, shaped slowly over millions of years of life spent almost entirely within the branches rather than on solid ground. It's a story that begins deep within evolutionary history, long before the forests we picture today ever existed in their current form. Tonight's story will move slowly through each of these details, one calm idea folding gently into the next. It's a story that begins deep within evolutionary history, long before the forests we picture today ever existed, shaped slowly across countless generations of trial, adaptation, and quiet refinement. A monkey's grip plays a central role in this entire ability, and it works quite differently from a human hand in several important ways. Many tree-dwelling primates have curved fingers, naturally shaped to hook securely around a branch rather than needing to consciously squeeze and hold on with continuous muscle effort. This curved shape reduces the amount of energy required to maintain a strong grip during long stretches of movement through the canopy. Some species also have a reduced or entirely absent thumb, a trade-off that actually improves their ability to swing quickly from branch to branch, since a shorter thumb doesn't get in the way during a fast, sweeping motion. Their palms and fingers are often covered in tough, slightly rough skin, providing extra friction against smooth or damp bark, particularly useful during sudden rain showers common in dense tropical forests. Every part of this design works quietly together, allowing a monkey to trust its grip completely, even during the most demanding, high-speed movements between branches. Every part of this design works quietly together, allowing a monkey to trust its grip completely, even during the most demanding, high-speed movements between branches. It's a quiet kind of engineering, refined slowly over countless generations spent almost entirely above the ground. Even scientists who study primate hands closely continue finding small, subtle details that make this grip even more effective than it first appears. It's a detail worth appreciating quietly tonight, the kind of small evolutionary refinement easy to overlook at first glance. Even scientists who study primate hands closely continue finding small, subtle details that make this grip even more effective than it first appears, details still being carefully documented today. Beyond grip alone, a monkey's shoulders are built in a way that gives them an extraordinary range of motion, far beyond what a human shoulder could safely achieve. Gibbons in particular have shoulder joints that allow their arms to rotate almost completely around, a full 360 degrees in some cases, letting them reach overhead, behind, and to either side with equal ease during rapid, continuous movement. This flexibility means they can adjust their grip mid-swing, correcting their angle instantly if a branch shifts unexpectedly or proves less stable than anticipated. Their wrists are similarly flexible, allowing quick rotation as they release one branch and reach for the next, all while their body continues moving forward through the air. This combination of shoulder and wrist mobility is part of why brachiation looks so effortless from the ground, when in reality, it involves dozens of small, precise adjustments happening in rapid succession, each one calculated instinctively without any conscious thought at all. This combination of shoulder and wrist mobility is part of why brachiation looks so effortless from the ground, when in reality, it involves dozens of small, precise adjustments happening in rapid succession. Researchers who study this movement closely often describe it as one of the most efficient forms of locomotion found anywhere in the animal kingdom. Watching this movement slowed down on camera often reveals just how many tiny corrections happen within a single, seemingly effortless swing. It's a level of physical coordination that took millions of years of gradual refinement to develop this completely. Watching this movement slowed down on camera often reveals just how many tiny corrections happen within a single, seemingly effortless swing, adjustments too fast for the naked eye to fully register. Timing and distance judgment matter just as much as physical strength when it comes to swinging safely through a forest canopy. Before every swing, a monkey's brain rapidly calculates the distance to the next branch, its likely strength, and the exact angle needed to land securely, all within a fraction of a second. Researchers studying gibbons have found that their brains process depth perception and spatial awareness remarkably quickly, allowing them to plan several moves ahead even while still mid-swing toward their current target. Younger monkeys often misjudge these distances slightly, leading to shorter, more cautious swings while their spatial judgment continues developing through repeated daily practice. Adult monkeys, by contrast, appear to move almost automatically, their brains and bodies working together so smoothly that hesitation rarely enters the process at all. It's a skill built gradually, refined slowly across months and years of climbing, reaching, and occasionally misjudging a branch before finally mastering the art completely. It's a skill built gradually, refined slowly across months and years of climbing, reaching, and occasionally misjudging a branch before finally mastering the art completely. This kind of split-second calculation happens so quickly that even careful observation with modern cameras struggles to capture every individual adjustment involved. It's a quiet reminder that what looks instinctive and easy from a distance is often the product of years of careful, repeated practice. We'll return to this idea more than once tonight, since it quietly connects nearly everything else we'll explore about this remarkable skill. It's a quiet reminder that what looks instinctive and easy from a distance is often the product of years of careful, repeated practice, refined slowly through countless small mistakes along the way. Picture, for a moment, a quiet stretch of rainforest just after a light rain, water still dripping slowly from broad green leaves, the air thick and warm and still. Somewhere above, a young gibbon rests quietly on a wide branch, watching an adult swing smoothly through the canopy nearby, studying every movement closely before attempting anything itself. The forest around them stays quiet and still, broken only by the occasional drip of water falling from leaf to leaf, and the faint rustle of the adult's movement through the branches above. The young gibbon doesn't move yet, content simply to watch, absorbing details it won't consciously understand for quite some time. Somewhere further back in the canopy, a second, older gibbon calls out briefly, a soft, distant sound that fades quickly into the thick, humid air surrounding them both. Even the light here feels unhurried, filtering down in soft, scattered patches through countless overlapping layers of green leaves above. Somewhere beyond the immediate canopy, the wider forest continues its own slow, quiet rhythm, entirely unaware of this one small, patient lesson unfolding above a single quiet clearing. The young gibbon shifts its weight slightly, curious but still cautious, watching every subtle motion the adult makes with careful, focused attention. The bark beneath the adult's hands looks slightly damp still, catching faint glimmers of the fading afternoon light as it moves smoothly from one branch to the next without ever slowing down. For now, nothing here needs to hurry, the young gibbon content simply to observe, quietly building the kind of understanding no lesson could ever fully replace. Different species approach this same basic skill in slightly different ways, shaped by their environment and body structure. Spider monkeys, found throughout Central and South America, rely heavily on their prehensile tails, which function almost like an extra hand, capable of wrapping tightly around a branch to free up their actual hands for reaching, feeding, or extra stability during tricky maneuvers. This tail can support their entire body weight if needed, allowing them to hang comfortably while using both hands for other tasks entirely. Gibbons, on the other hand, have no tail at all, relying instead purely on their arms, shoulders, and finely tuned sense of balance. Siamangs, close relatives of gibbons, share this same tailless brachiating style, though they tend to move slightly more deliberately, often pausing briefly between swings to assess their next move more carefully than their faster, more streamlined cousins. Siamangs, close relatives of gibbons, share this same tailless brachiating style, though they tend to move slightly more deliberately, often pausing briefly between swings to assess their next move more carefully than their faster, more streamlined cousins. Each species, shaped by its own particular environment, arrived at a slightly different solution to the same basic challenge of moving efficiently through a world made almost entirely of branches and open air. Watching these different species side by side, it becomes clear just how many solutions nature has found for essentially the same problem. It's worth remembering this variety as we continue tonight, since not every swinging monkey moves in quite the same way. Watching these different species side by side, it becomes clear just how many solutions nature has found for essentially the same problem, each one shaped by its own particular corner of the forest. Young monkeys don't begin swinging confidently from birth, and their development into skilled climbers happens gradually, much like any other physical skill requiring years of careful practice. Infant monkeys typically cling tightly to their mothers for the first several months of life, observing movement through the canopy passively before ever attempting it themselves. As they grow stronger, they begin practicing on lower, more stable branches close to the ground, testing their grip and balance in situations where a mistake carries little real risk. Gradually, over months of repetition, their confidence builds alongside their physical strength, and they begin attempting longer, more ambitious swings between slightly more distant branches. Mothers and other adults in the group often stay close during this learning period, occasionally catching a young monkey that misjudges a jump, offering a kind of safety net during these crucial early months of physical development. Mothers and other adults in the group often stay close during this learning period, occasionally catching a young monkey that misjudges a jump, offering a kind of safety net during these crucial early months of physical development. This entire process can take a year or more before a young monkey moves with the same confidence shown by fully grown adults in its group. Watching a young monkey progress from cautious, careful movements to smooth, confident swings offers a small, quiet lesson in patience itself. It's a process that mirrors, in its own quiet way, how any young creature slowly gains confidence in an uncertain, sometimes risky world. Watching a young monkey progress from cautious, careful movements to smooth, confident swings offers a small, quiet lesson in patience itself, one that plays out slowly across an entire early life. Consider, for a moment, a quiet morning deep within a tropical forest, mist still clinging to the lower branches, and a small family group of monkeys slowly waking, stretching, and beginning their unhurried movement upward into the sunlit canopy above, one calm, deliberate motion at a time. One by one, they begin testing familiar branches, remembering routes traveled the day before, moving with quiet, practiced confidence into another day spent almost entirely above the ground. The whole scene feels unhurried, patient, exactly the rhythm this particular corner of the forest seems to follow every single morning. Somewhere nearby, a bird calls out once, briefly, before falling silent again, leaving only the soft rustle of leaves as the monkeys continue their slow ascent. For now, the forest holds this quiet moment gently, patient and unhurried, exactly as it has every morning before this one. Somewhere nearby, a bird calls out once, briefly, before falling silent again, leaving only the soft rustle of leaves as the monkeys continue their slow ascent into the warming morning light above them. The mist begins to thin slightly now, drawn upward gently as the sun climbs higher behind the dense, layered canopy overhead. Somewhere lower in the canopy, another family group begins stirring too, their soft calls barely audible over the gentle rustle of the forest slowly waking up around them. For this one quiet stretch of morning, nothing at all feels rushed, only the slow, patient rhythm of a forest and its inhabitants easing gently into another warm, unhurried day. The physics behind brachiation also plays a quiet but important role in why this movement looks so smooth and efficient from below. Each swing functions somewhat like a pendulum, with a monkey's body acting as the weight and its gripping hand as the fixed point, converting forward momentum into a wide, sweeping arc that carries it naturally toward the next handhold. This pendulum-like motion actually requires less energy than climbing or jumping directly, allowing monkeys to travel significant distances through the canopy while conserving valuable energy for feeding, resting, and other daily activities. Researchers studying this movement have noted that skilled brachiators seem to instinctively time their releases at the exact peak of each swing's arc, maximizing both distance and efficiency with every motion. We've covered quite a bit of ground so far tonight: the grip, the shoulders, the timing, and the physics quietly working behind every swing through the trees, each one a small, quiet marvel most people never pause to consider. If your eyes are growing heavy, that's perfectly alright. Rest here for now, and whenever you're ready, we can continue this slow, calm journey through the rest of the story. It's a reminder that even the simplest looking movements often hide a surprising amount of careful, invisible calculation happening underneath. It's a fitting thought to rest on tonight, as we pause here for a while before continuing further into this story. It's a reminder that even the simplest looking movements often hide a surprising amount of careful, invisible calculation happening quietly underneath, unnoticed by anyone watching from the forest floor below. Even researchers who spend years observing this behavior admit there's always something new to notice, some small detail overlooked in all the previous careful hours of study. Picking up once more in the quiet company of the canopy, tonight's continuation moves further into the world of tree-dwelling primates and the many small details behind their remarkable movement. This next stretch explores how monkeys manage to feed while constantly on the move, the different locomotion styles used alongside brachiation, a closer look at specific species and their unique traits, and the playful, sometimes clumsy practice sessions of juveniles still learning to navigate the branches confidently. There is also a gentle look at the predators lurking below the canopy, and why staying high among the branches offers a surprising amount of safety despite the apparent risk of falling. As always, nothing here needs to be remembered carefully, only allowed to drift past slowly, calm and unhurried, the way sunlight filters gradually through countless overlapping layers of leaves above a quiet forest floor. Whatever brought you back tonight, curiosity or simple comfort, this next stretch of the story continues at exactly the same calm, unhurried pace as before. Nothing here requires effort to follow, only a quiet willingness to drift gently along with each new detail as it unfolds. Whatever brought you back tonight, curiosity or simple comfort, this next stretch of the story continues at exactly the same calm, unhurried pace as before. Nothing here requires effort to follow, only a quiet willingness to drift gently along with each new detail as it unfolds. Tonight's continuation moves further into the world of tree-dwelling primates, one calm, unhurried detail after another. There is also a gentle look ahead at the predators lurking below the canopy, and why staying high among the branches offers a surprising amount of safety despite the apparent risk of falling. Feeding while moving through the canopy requires its own kind of coordination, since fruit, leaves, and insects are rarely found conveniently along a direct path. Many primates pause briefly between swings, hanging from one arm while reaching with the other to gather food, a position that would be exhausting or even impossible for most other animals to hold steadily. Spider monkeys often use their prehensile tails during these moments, wrapping securely around a branch to free both hands entirely for feeding, effectively creating a stable third point of contact. Gibbons, lacking a tail, rely instead on careful balance and a firm one-handed grip, sometimes remaining in this position for several minutes while consuming fruit found deep within otherwise difficult-to-reach branches. This ability to feed mid-movement significantly reduces the time and energy needed compared to descending to more accessible foraging areas, allowing these animals to remain safely within the canopy for the vast majority of their daily lives. It's a quiet efficiency built directly into their daily routine, feeding and traveling blended almost seamlessly into a single continuous motion. It's a quiet efficiency built directly into their daily routine, feeding and traveling blended almost seamlessly into a single continuous motion. Watching this happen from below, it's easy to miss just how much careful balance goes into something that looks, at first glance, like simple, casual feeding. Every small pause during a long day of feeding adds up, allowing an animal to conserve just enough energy to keep moving safely until evening arrives. It's a small, quiet skill easy to overlook, yet essential to how these animals manage to spend nearly their entire lives without ever needing to touch solid ground. Brachiation is only one of several locomotion styles used by tree-dwelling primates, and many species switch fluidly between different methods depending on the situation. Quadrupedal walking along thick, stable branches remains common, particularly when moving short distances or navigating areas where branches grow too closely together for a full swinging motion. Leaping represents another important technique, especially useful when crossing gaps too wide for a single swing, requiring powerful leg muscles to propel the body through open air before catching a distant branch securely. Some species, including certain macaques, rely almost entirely on leaping and climbing rather than true brachiation, lacking the specific shoulder flexibility gibbons and spider monkeys have developed over generations. Orangutans move somewhat differently still, favoring a slower, more deliberate style sometimes called quadruminous climbing, using all four limbs together with careful, methodical movements suited to their much larger body size and weight. Each of these different approaches reflects a careful balance between body size, environment, and the specific demands of daily survival within the canopy. Each of these different approaches reflects a careful balance between body size, environment, and the specific demands of daily survival within the canopy. Even within a single species, individual monkeys sometimes favor slightly different combinations of these techniques depending on age, size, and personal preference. Watching different species move through the same patch of forest often reveals just how differently they solve the exact same practical problem. It's this flexibility, switching smoothly between styles as conditions demand, that allows so many different primates to thrive successfully across such varied forest environments. Consider a quiet stretch of canopy just before midday, sunlight now fully overhead, casting short, sharp shadows across countless overlapping branches below. A young monkey pauses mid-swing, hanging comfortably from one arm, watching a group of birds pass overhead before continuing calmly onward toward a distant cluster of ripening fruit. The forest around them stays largely quiet, broken only by the distant call of unseen birds somewhere deeper within the canopy, and the soft rustle of leaves shifting gently in a light midday breeze. Nothing here feels rushed. The young monkey simply waits, patient and calm, until the moment feels exactly right to continue. The forest around them stays largely quiet, broken only by the distant call of unseen birds somewhere deeper within the canopy, and the soft rustle of leaves shifting gently in a light midday breeze. Nothing here feels rushed. The young monkey simply waits, patient and calm, until the moment feels exactly right to continue. Below, the forest floor remains mostly hidden from view, obscured by countless overlapping layers of leaves and vines stretching upward toward the light. Somewhere far above, a faint breeze stirs the highest branches gently, sending a slow ripple of movement cascading downward through layer after layer of green. Small insects hum quietly nearby, barely audible over the gentle rustle of leaves, adding one more soft layer to the calm, unhurried atmosphere of this particular midday moment. For this one quiet stretch of midday, nothing at all feels urgent, only the slow, patient rhythm of a forest fully awake and warm beneath a bright, high sun. The siamang, among the largest of the gibbon family, carries a particularly distinctive feature connected closely to its arboreal lifestyle, a large throat sac capable of inflating significantly during vocal calls. This sac amplifies their calls remarkably, allowing sound to travel for considerable distances through dense forest canopy where visual signals alone would be far less effective. These calls often serve to establish territory or maintain contact between family members separated across different parts of the same forest patch. Despite their larger size compared to typical gibbons, siamangs remain highly capable brachiators, their movements simply slightly slower and more deliberate given their additional body weight. Their throat sac also plays a subtle role during rest periods, sometimes used in softer, quieter vocalizations shared closely between family members resting together after a long morning of movement through the canopy. It's a feature entirely unique among gibbon species, setting the siamang apart even among its closest relatives. It's a feature entirely unique among gibbon species, setting the siamang apart even among its closest relatives. Field researchers studying siamangs often rely on these distinctive calls to help track family groups moving through dense, otherwise hard-to-observe forest. These calls carry a surprising distance through dense, humid air, reaching family members far beyond what human hearing alone could ever detect clearly. Even researchers unfamiliar with the specific calls of a region can often identify a siamang family simply by the distinctive rhythm and depth of their vocalizations. Family groups separated by dense foliage often rely almost entirely on these calls to stay loosely coordinated throughout an otherwise busy day of feeding and travel. Juvenile monkeys spend a considerable portion of their early lives engaged in what researchers describe as practice play, movements that closely resemble adult brachiation but occur in lower risk settings closer to the ground or among denser, more supportive branch clusters. This playful practice often involves short, exaggerated swings, occasional tumbles onto soft leaf litter below, and plenty of close supervision from nearby adults ready to intervene if needed. Researchers observing these sessions note that juveniles appear to genuinely enjoy this practice, often continuing well beyond what would be strictly necessary for skill development alone, suggesting play itself may serve an important role in building confidence alongside physical ability. Over time, these practice sessions gradually shift toward higher, more challenging branches as a young monkey's strength and judgment continue to improve, eventually blending seamlessly into the confident, purposeful movement seen in fully grown adults. It's a slow, patient process, unfolding gradually across many months of careful, closely supervised practice. It's a slow, patient process, unfolding gradually across many months of careful, closely supervised practice. Adult monkeys nearby often continue their own daily routines undisturbed, occasionally glancing over as though checking on the progress of the younger members practicing close by. Over the following weeks, these same young monkeys often return to the exact same practice branches, gradually building familiarity alongside physical skill. It's a gradual, almost invisible kind of progress, each small session building quietly on the last until confidence finally outweighs hesitation completely. Staying high within the forest canopy offers tree-dwelling primates a significant safety advantage against many ground-based predators unable to follow them into the branches at all. Large cats, snakes, and other terrestrial hunters common throughout tropical forests simply cannot match the speed or agility required to pursue a monkey moving confidently through the upper canopy. This relative safety comes with its own risks, however, since a fall from significant height can cause serious injury, making the precision and reliability of brachiation not just efficient but genuinely essential for survival. Some predators, including certain birds of prey, have adapted specifically to hunt within the canopy itself, meaning monkeys must remain alert even at considerable height, using their peripheral vision and keen hearing to notice potential danger approaching from above as well as below. This constant, quiet vigilance becomes second nature over time, woven seamlessly into every movement through the branches. This constant, quiet vigilance becomes second nature over time, woven seamlessly into every movement through the branches. Even a fully grown, highly experienced adult remains cautious near especially thin or unstable-looking branches, trusting instinct over confidence alone. Researchers tracking these animals over long periods often note remarkably few serious falls among fully grown, experienced adults navigating familiar territory. This careful balance between confidence and caution seems to deepen with age and experience rather than fading, contrary to what many might assume. Younger monkeys, still building this same instinct, often watch closely as older group members navigate particularly tricky sections of canopy before attempting it themselves. Picture a wide gap between two ancient trees, sunlight streaming brightly through the open space where the canopy briefly parts. A monkey pauses at the very edge of a sturdy branch, calculating the distance carefully before launching into a long, smooth leap, arms extended, body perfectly aligned, landing securely on the far side without the slightest hesitation. The gap closes behind, and the forest continues exactly as it was, calm and undisturbed, as though this small moment of careful precision had barely happened at all. Somewhere further along, another branch waits, sturdy and familiar, ready for the next quiet leap whenever it comes. The gap closes behind, and the forest continues exactly as it was, calm and undisturbed, as though this small moment of careful precision had barely happened at all. Somewhere further along, another branch waits, sturdy and familiar, ready for the next quiet leap whenever it comes. Moments like these, brief and precise, repeat countless times each day across an entire life spent moving confidently through the canopy. It's a small, quiet reminder of just how much precision goes into something that, from the ground, looks almost effortlessly graceful. A few loose leaves drift down slowly in its wake, settling quietly onto the forest floor far below, unnoticed by the monkey already moving steadily onward. For a brief moment, the entire canopy seems to hold its breath, watching this single, careful leap unfold exactly as countless leaps before it always have. Modern researchers studying brachiation often rely on high-speed cameras and motion tracking technology to break down movements too quick for the human eye to fully process during normal observation. These detailed studies have revealed just how many small muscular adjustments occur within a single swing, information that has even influenced fields like robotics, where engineers study primate movement patterns while designing more efficient, adaptable machines capable of navigating complex, unpredictable environments. Some studies also focus on energy expenditure, measuring exactly how much less effort brachiation requires compared to walking or running equivalent distances along the ground. These findings consistently confirm what casual observation alone might suggest, that swinging through the canopy represents one of the most energy-efficient forms of movement found anywhere among land-dwelling animals. It's a quiet reminder that nature often arrives at solutions far more elegant than anything engineers could design entirely from scratch. It's a quiet reminder that nature often arrives at solutions far more elegant than anything engineers could design entirely from scratch. Some of these findings have even influenced fields like robotics, where engineers study primate movement patterns while designing more efficient, adaptable machines. It's a quiet reminder that the natural world often holds solutions worth studying carefully, long before any engineer ever thinks to look there first. Together, these studies continue building a much fuller picture of exactly why this particular form of movement works so remarkably well. Even decades of dedicated research continue revealing new layers of detail hidden within movements that, at first glance, appear almost deceptively simple. Tonight's exploration has moved through feeding behavior mid-swing, the variety of locomotion styles used across different species, a closer look at the siamang's distinctive throat sac, the gradual development of skill through juvenile play, the safety canopy life provides against predators, and the modern research methods helping scientists understand this movement more deeply than ever before. There remains still more of this story left to explore in future parts, further details about specific species, deeper looks into social behavior during group travel, and additional insight into the evolutionary history behind this remarkable ability. For now, though, let your thoughts settle gently, your breathing slow, and if your eyes are already closed, that is exactly where they should be. Rest well tonight, and whenever you are ready, this journey through the treetops can continue further, calm and unhurried, just as it has been all along. There remains still more of this story left to explore in future parts, further details about specific species and deeper looks into social behavior during group travel. For now, though, let your thoughts settle gently, your breathing slow, and if your eyes are already closed, that is exactly where they should be. Rest well tonight, and whenever you are ready, this journey through the treetops can continue further, calm and unhurried, just as it always has. There remains still more of this story left to explore in the parts still ahead, waiting patiently for whenever you're ready to return to it. Whenever that time comes, we'll pick back up exactly where tonight leaves off, calm and unhurried, the same way this whole story has always unfolded. Returning once more to the quiet world of the canopy, this final stretch of tonight's story moves through a few remaining details, the social patterns monkeys follow while traveling together as a group, the deep evolutionary history connecting this movement to our own distant ancestors, the surprising duets performed by certain gibbon species at dawn, how these animals manage to sleep safely high above the forest floor, and the conservation challenges many of these species now quietly face. There is nothing here requiring effort to follow, only a slow, steady unfolding of calm, careful detail, drifting gently toward tonight's closing thoughts. Whatever brought you back tonight, curiosity, comfort, or simple love of the natural world, we're glad to have you here for this final, gentle stretch of the story. Nothing here requires effort to follow, only a slow, steady unfolding of calm, careful detail, drifting gently toward tonight's true closing thoughts. There is also a gentle look ahead at the conservation challenges many of these species now quietly face across an increasingly fragmented natural world. As always, tonight's closing thoughts will arrive slowly, one calm, unhurried detail at a time, exactly as this entire story has unfolded from the very beginning. This is the final chapter of the story for now, gathering together everything explored so far into one last, quiet stretch before the closing thoughts arrive. Whatever remains ahead in these final parts, it will move at exactly the same calm, patient pace this entire story has followed from its very first quiet image of a lone monkey swinging gently through the trees. Whatever curiosity or quiet comfort brought you back to this story tonight, we're glad to share this last, calm stretch of it together before finally letting it rest. Traveling as a group through the canopy requires a surprising amount of quiet coordination, since branches capable of supporting one monkey may bend dangerously under the combined weight of several moving too closely together. Family groups typically spread out during travel, maintaining just enough distance to avoid overloading a single branch while still remaining within calling distance of one another. Adults often lead these movements, choosing routes based on long familiarity with a particular stretch of forest, while younger members follow closely behind, learning safe pathways through repeated observation. Occasional soft calls help maintain contact when visual sight lines become blocked by dense foliage, allowing the group to stay loosely connected even while spread across a considerable stretch of canopy. This coordinated movement, refined over generations of shared experience within a single territory, allows entire family groups to travel efficiently without unnecessary risk to any individual member. Younger group members typically stay close to an experienced adult during these movements, gradually learning which routes remain safe across different seasons and conditions. This kind of careful, distributed movement helps ensure no single branch ever bears more weight than it can safely support at any given moment. Occasional soft calls help maintain contact when visual sight lines become blocked by dense foliage, keeping the whole group loosely connected even across considerable distance. This entire coordinated system, refined gradually over many generations of shared experience within a single territory, allows family groups to travel efficiently without unnecessary risk to any single member. The evolutionary story behind brachiation stretches back millions of years, connecting today's gibbons and spider monkeys to a much older lineage of primates that gradually adapted to a life spent almost entirely within the trees. Fossil evidence suggests that early hominoid ancestors, the broader group including apes and eventually humans, likely possessed some degree of this arm-swinging ability long before our own lineage eventually moved toward life on the ground. Some researchers believe certain features still present in the human shoulder today, including its unusually wide range of motion compared to many other mammals, may trace back to this same distant arboreal heritage. It's a quiet, humbling thought, that reaching overhead to grab something from a high shelf relies on joints shaped, in part, by ancestors who once depended on that same flexibility simply to move safely from one tree to the next. Some researchers believe certain features still present in the human shoulder today may trace back to this same distant arboreal heritage shared with our tree-dwelling relatives. It's a quiet, humbling connection worth pausing on tonight, one linking something as ordinary as reaching for a high shelf to millions of years of careful, gradual adaptation. Long before our own lineage eventually moved toward life primarily on the ground, ancestors much like today's brachiating primates likely depended on this same remarkable flexibility simply to survive. It's a thought worth sitting with quietly tonight, one small, ordinary movement connected all the way back to millions of years of careful, gradual adaptation. Picture the earliest hours of morning deep within a tropical forest, mist still settled low across the canopy, and somewhere within the mist, a low, rising call beginning to build, soft at first, then gradually swelling into a clear, echoing song that seems to drift endlessly across the treetops. The song rises higher now, clear and unmistakable against the quiet stillness of early morning, drawing a faint, answering call from somewhere further off within the mist-covered canopy. Somewhere below, the last traces of mist begin to lift slowly off the lower branches, drawn gradually upward as the earliest warmth of the day begins to spread. A few early birds begin calling softly from somewhere within the canopy, their voices blending gently with the rising, echoing song still drifting through the trees. Somewhere further along the canopy, a second voice joins the rising call, blending smoothly into what will soon become a full, coordinated morning duet. Mist continues drifting slowly upward from the lower branches, thinning gradually as the very first true light of morning begins spreading softly across the highest layers of canopy above. Somewhere in the far distance, a low rumble of thunder rolls softly across the horizon, faint and harmless, simply another quiet layer added to the sounds of the waking forest. Even the insects seem to quiet slightly as the light grows stronger, as though the whole forest were pausing briefly to listen to this one particular morning song. Many gibbon species are known for performing elaborate vocal duets each morning, typically between a mated pair, combining distinct calls into a coordinated, often quite beautiful sequence that can carry for over a mile through dense forest. These duets serve several purposes at once, reinforcing the bond between partners, marking territory clearly for neighboring groups, and helping family members separated overnight locate one another as the day begins. Each species produces a slightly different pattern, some rising in short, sharp bursts, others building slowly into long, sustained notes that blend together almost musically. Researchers studying these calls have found that young gibbons gradually learn their own contribution to these duets over several years, refining timing and pitch through repeated practice alongside their parents, much like the physical skill of brachiation itself develops gradually through patient repetition. Neighboring family groups often recognize these specific patterns, distinguishing one pair's duet from another purely by subtle differences in rhythm and tone. Each species produces a slightly different pattern, some rising in short, sharp bursts, others building slowly into long, sustained notes that blend together almost musically. Young gibbons gradually learn their own contribution to these duets over several years, refining timing and pitch through repeated practice alongside their parents. These duets serve several purposes at once, reinforcing the bond between partners, marking territory clearly, and helping separated family members find one another as the day begins. Sleeping safely above the forest floor requires its own careful set of behaviors, since a fall during rest could prove just as dangerous as one during active movement through the canopy. Many species select sturdy, well-supported branches for sleeping, often returning to familiar, trusted locations night after night rather than settling randomly wherever movement happens to stop. Gibbons typically sleep sitting upright, tucked into a stable fork between branches, using their strong grip even during rest to maintain balance throughout the night. Spider monkeys, aided by their prehensile tails, can secure themselves even more firmly, wrapping their tail around a branch as an additional safeguard while the rest of their body relaxes into sleep. This careful selection of sleeping sites, refined through years of individual experience within a home territory, ensures these animals remain safe even during the most vulnerable hours of complete stillness. Even during sleep, a faint awareness seems to remain, allowing these animals to react quickly if a sudden disturbance breaks the stillness of the night. Gibbons typically sleep sitting upright, tucked securely into a stable fork between branches, relying on strong, practiced grip even while otherwise fully at rest. Spider monkeys, aided by their prehensile tails, secure themselves even more firmly, wrapping their tail around a branch as an extra safeguard while the rest of the body relaxes fully into rest. This careful selection of familiar, trusted sleeping sites, refined through years of individual experience, ensures these animals remain safe even during the most vulnerable hours of complete stillness. Conservation remains an important and increasingly urgent part of this story, since many brachiating primates now face significant threats from habitat loss across much of their historical range. Deforestation driven by agriculture, logging, and expanding human settlement has fragmented once continuous forest into smaller, isolated patches, making it increasingly difficult for these animals to move, feed, and find mates across what were once unbroken stretches of canopy. Several gibbon species are now classified as endangered, with some populations reduced to only a few scattered groups remaining in protected reserves. Conservation organizations in various countries continue working to protect remaining forest habitat, while some programs focus specifically on creating canopy bridges across roads or cleared areas, allowing these animals safer passage between otherwise isolated forest fragments. These efforts move slowly, much like the animals they aim to protect, built carefully on patient, long-term commitment rather than any single quick solution. Several gibbon species are now classified as endangered, with some populations reduced to only a few scattered groups remaining within protected reserves. Conservation organizations in various countries continue working to protect remaining forest habitat, sometimes focusing specifically on canopy bridges that allow safer passage across cleared or developed land. These efforts, though slow and often difficult, represent a genuine, ongoing commitment to preserving a way of life shaped patiently across millions of years of evolution. Conservation organizations in various countries continue working to protect remaining forest habitat, focusing carefully on both large protected reserves and smaller, connecting corridors of trees. Picture, one final time tonight, a vast, unbroken stretch of protected rainforest at dusk, the last light fading slowly through countless layers of green, and somewhere deep within the canopy, a family group settling quietly into familiar branches for the night, safe, calm, and undisturbed within this last remaining stretch of untouched forest. Somewhere higher still, a single star becomes visible through a small gap in the canopy, faint and steady, watching quietly over this last undisturbed corner of forest. The whole scene feels suspended in quiet stillness, patient and unhurried, exactly the kind of calm worth carrying gently into sleep tonight. Nothing moves here except the occasional soft rustle of leaves settling into place for the night, patient and unhurried, exactly as this whole quiet forest always seems to be. Somewhere deep within this quiet, protected stretch of forest, an entire way of life continues on tonight exactly as it always has, undisturbed and safe. Far below, the forest floor remains entirely dark and hidden, untouched by the faint starlight filtering gently down through countless overlapping layers of leaves above it. The night settles fully now, calm and complete, wrapping gently around this entire quiet stretch of protected forest exactly as it has every night for as long as anyone could ever remember. Tomorrow will bring its own quiet rhythm of movement and travel through the canopy, though for now, everything simply rests, patient and unhurried beneath the gathering dark. As tonight's journey through the world of tree-dwelling primates comes to its gentle close, it feels worth pausing to look back over everything explored together across this story. From the remarkable grip and shoulder flexibility that makes brachiation possible, to the different styles used by gibbons, spider monkeys, and orangutans, to the years of patient practice required before a young monkey moves with true confidence, to the deep evolutionary connections linking this ability all the way back to our own distant ancestors, one quiet thread has remained constant throughout. A story of patient adaptation, careful precision, and quiet mastery built slowly across countless generations spent almost entirely above the ground. It's a fitting note to end on tonight, patience and quiet mastery, built slowly, one careful movement at a time, across countless generations spent almost entirely above the ground. From the remarkable grip and shoulder flexibility that makes brachiation possible to the deep evolutionary threads connecting this ability back to our own distant ancestors, the whole story has moved slowly, calmly, one detail at a time. To the years of patient practice required before any young monkey moves with true confidence, every part of tonight's story has carried the same quiet thread of patience running gently underneath it. It's a story built entirely on patience, precision, and quiet, steady mastery, refined slowly across countless generations spent almost entirely above the forest floor. Whatever stays with you most from tonight's journey, let it simply be this quiet, patient feeling of calm, carried gently with you as you drift toward sleep. And so, as the canopy settles into stillness and this story draws to its true close tonight, it feels like the right moment to simply rest alongside it. Thank you so much for spending this quiet time with us tonight, wandering slowly through the treetops and the remarkable world of monkeys, gibbons, and their extraordinary ability to move so gracefully through the trees. If you enjoyed this calm journey, it would mean a great deal if you left a like and considered subscribing, helping more of these slow, gentle stories find their way to you in the future. We would also love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, whether a favorite detail from tonight's story or simply a quiet hello before drifting off to sleep. For now, though, there is nothing left to do but close your eyes, let your breathing settle into something slow and even, and allow yourself to fully rest. Wherever you are tonight, we hope you feel calm, safe, and ready for a deep, peaceful sleep. Good night, sleep well, and we will see you again soon for another slow, gentle journey into the quiet corners of the natural world. Take care of yourself tonight, and every night after this one, and thank you again for letting us be a small, quiet part of your evening. However you found your way here tonight, we hope this story leaves you feeling calmer and more at ease than when it first began. If it brought you any comfort tonight, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more of these calm, unhurried stories in the future. We would also love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, whether a favorite detail from tonight's story or simply a quiet hello before drifting off to sleep.